Welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This one's going to be a long weekend reading vlog. So we have a 3-day weekend, and I've also taken a couple of days off before that to make it a really nice long weekend. I needed a little bit of a break, and things are only going to be getting more and more hectic at work. So I need to just kind of take a beat while I can and kind of gear up for the busier season to come. So I decided to take that little bit of a break and take a couple of days off before a 3-day weekend, and just first couple of days just going to be chilling, reading. For the long weekend, Matt and I actually have an Airbnb booked, so I'm excited. I do, of course, have some books I want to read. I'm starting with Stay Awake by Megan Goldin. And I'm starting with this one just because I was kind of in the mood for a thriller. I'm also excited because I have the audiobook of this one checked out from the library as well, because two of my favorite narrators, Imogen Church and January Lavoie, narrate this audiobook, and I'm excited. I love both of them. Imogen Church narrates all of Ruth Ware's books, and she just has a perfect voice for narrating thrillers. January Lavoie is just a master at narration. She did the Diviner series by Libba Brayer, narrated the Diviner series, and she can make it sound like it's a full cast audiobook with just her voice. It's incredible. Anyway, so I'm excited. I'm enjoying the audiobook so far, of course, through their narration. I'm definitely intrigued to start off with. I've just been listening to it this morning. I'm 80 or so pages in. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Our main character, Liv, wakes up and is confused, disoriented. She last remembers it being summer, but it's clearly not summer anymore, and she tries to go back to her apartment, but there are new people living in her apartment now. She has a bloody knife in her pocket wrapped up in an old t-shirt, so she's not sure what that's about, and she wakes up with some messages written on her hands, on her wrist, on her arm, telling her to stay awake, don't fall asleep, stay awake. And she's like, what is happening? And so that is the perspective that Imogen Church is narrating. And then January Lavoie is narrating the perspective of a detective who is trying to, solve a murder. She's in the homicide office and is trying to solve a murder of someone who was found in kind of a short-term rental place, kind of an Airbnb-like thing, and someone who's coming in to clean finds this dead body and calls the police, and so she's one of the responding detectives, and at this crime scene they see in blood, but it's on a window, and it's written to be read from the outside. It's not written oriented in a way that could be read from the inside, which is kind of strange. But in blood is written "wake up," which is also one of the things that's written on Liv, the other main character's arm. So very intrigued. I can definitely see, so just by virtue of the trope, we'll have to see if there are different ways that Megan Goldin can kind of have Liv wake up and have it not seem repetitive. I can definitely see that potentially being an issue and being something that some people, I've listened to just a couple of reviews of this one. I've more just in general heard some people who are interested in it, but I think I've only listened to a few people review it who have actually read it. It was one thing that was mentioned, which I can just see based on the tropes and the way that they're being used, something to kind of be careful about in terms of the way that that's written. So far it's fine. She's woken up a couple of times, and it's been in different places, and some different things have been going on to help her figure out that she loses her memory when she falls asleep. And so we're kind of exploring different parts of her life in those 2 times that she's woken up. So far, that part hasn't felt repetitive. And I'm guessing that she's going to find a way to leave herself more and more information each time so that she can kind of more quickly get up to speed with what's happening and the fact that she's losing her memory while she sleeps and potentially is somehow connected to these murders that she's seen news about. So yeah, I'm very intrigued so far. So I'll let you know how that one goes. I would love to read a couple of other things throughout the weekend, and we'll see how much I can get read. But I also would love to read In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. This is the gorgeous Fairy Loot edition, and I've been wanting to read this one. I was so excited that it was a Fairy Loot book because then I knew I would get just a stunning edition of it. So I'm in the mood for some cozy stuff as well, so I'm hoping that that'll be a nice, just cozy read for a nice relaxing weekend. I also have the audiobook of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros checked out from the library. I think I found it at the perfect time as the audiobooks were just coming live on my library's catalog. So I was able to actually just snag a copy of the audiobook from my library very quickly, which was surprising. I think it took them a while to get the audiobooks in, and I just happened to be checking, and almost all of them were available, which probably means that they were just put on, because now there are a ton of people waiting for copies of the audiobook. So I got lucky, and people have been losing their mind about this book. So I'm just kind of curious. I have FOMO. I'm curious. I want to see what this one's about. I do love dragon fantasies, and I love school settings in fantasy. So I feel like this could be right up my alley. And I'm just curious, and hopefully it'll just be a good time. Obviously, hearing a bunch of people talk about it is kind of getting me hyped, and I don't want to fall prey to having my expectations be too high. I think what I'm expecting is for it to be fun, entertaining, not necessarily the best writing, maybe a little bit cheesy at times, but entertaining. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm in the mood for. So I figured it could go on the TBR for this weekend, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. There are going to be some other things sprinkled in too throughout the weekend, because there definitely are some other projects that I'm working on. I need to read I need to continue on in a climate nonfiction that I have right now that I'm working on, because I have an environmental book club meetup for a meetup group that I run for nonfiction mostly, but environmentally focused books. And so our next meeting is a bit later. Actually, I think is it next Thursday? So I need to finish. It's The New Climate War by Michael Mann. I need to finish that. So I'll definitely be also working to make some progress in that one as well. And hopefully starting Fashionopolis by Dana Thomas. So hoping to get a start on the X Book Club book and see if I can make some progress there. But yeah, I'm excited. So I'll check in later. Okay, same place next day. So yesterday was a great day. I just continued to read Stay Awake after opening this vlog. I read that for a good chunk of the morning. I had some lunch. I needed to go pick up my car from the mechanic. I'll need to bring it back next week and have her looked at some more, just to make sure that what they think is the issue is actually what's going on. But they assured me that she was safe to drive because I had a medical appointment. So went to go pick up my car right after lunch. And I also, before going to that medical appointment, also stopped by, there's a Barnes & Noble that just opened up on Wednesday, a couple of days ago, nearby. So I wanted to go check it out. I'm so sad I didn't get any clips or film anything on my phone inside, because it was a beautiful Barnes & Noble. It actually looked and was designed a little bit differently than the other Barnes & Noble stores that I've been in. It was beautiful. So I'm sure I'll be back, and I promise I'll get some clips next time I go into that Barnes & Noble, and I'll put it in some vlog or another in the future. But it was really nice just to stop by and just check it out. I didn't end up getting anything, but I just wanted to check it out. So glad I was able to do that. And then went to that medical appointment, came back, it was time for dinner. And we also watched the Star Trek Strange New Worlds show just started back up with a new season. So we watched the first episode of the new season. It's been fun. I really enjoyed that show. It's been a good one. So yeah, it was a good day. And yeah, just a lot of adulting and just getting some things done. I also was cleaning while listening to some of Stay Awake yesterday. So it was an adulting day, but it was a good one. So, but I did actually get to finish Stay Awake through listening to it while cleaning and, going to and from that medical appointment, listening while Matt was making some dinner and before bed. I actually was able to finish this in one day. I had such a good time with this one. So I think I gave you kind of the basic premise opening the vlog yesterday. So I'll just kind of give some additional thoughts. I obviously loved the narration, as I mentioned. I mean, the two narrators are just absolutely brilliant. And I really did love Imogen Church playing Liv. It kind of made it feel like a Ruth Ware book. I don't know if it was only because of Imogen's narration. It just really kind of sank me back into the vibes of a Ruth Ware book. But there really were some other elements that, the pacing, some of the storytelling elements, and some of the writing that actually did kind of remind me a bit of Ruth Ware. But I don't know if that was a good portion because the narrator was the same narrator as Ruth Ware's books, and so I'm just kind of was in that mindset in my head listening to this one. Anyway, but I think she did a great job as Liv, and Liv is trying to figure out what's going on. It becomes clear to her that she started losing her memory every time she fell asleep about a little over 2 years ago, and so she's trying to not only piece together what happened a couple of years ago, but try to figure out how that relates to some things that are going on in the present day. And, of course, some stuff is happening in the present day. And, the detective is also trying to figure out what's going on in the present day and is starting to see if there are any links to what happened a couple of years ago, and is starting to learn more about what happened to Liv. And so I think the detective's perspective, I think it was smart to include the detective's perspective for a couple of reasons. One, it was just an interesting perspective, and that one actually was in third person, whereas Liv's was in first person. But it was interesting to kind of get her perspective, and we were able to learn more about Liv through the detective's perspective, since Liv was only able to kind of piece things together so much before she fell asleep again. And she's trying to do her best to stay awake, and try to do her best to give her notes for the next time she falls asleep. But, she can only do so much and only figure things out at a certain pace. And so the detective's perspective kind of helps us move that along a little bit. So I think it was really smart to include that perspective. And I think Megan did a really good job. So one of the concerns that I was expressing when I was first starting was, will it get repetitive to have Liv, because eventually she's going to fall asleep. That's, of course, it's just eventually going to happen. Her body needs, it needs to at least force her to sleep at some points, even if she's trying her best to stay awake and it's causing a lot of problems for her health-wise. Eventually she needs to sleep. And so it could potentially get repetitive to have Liv wake up and then, start back at different points in the story, depending on when she was last asleep, and kind of have her memory be at a certain point, but need to relearn some things. So I think she actually did a really good job yes, she needed to have some repetitive parts because Liv does need to find out some more basic information about what's going on. But I think she did a really good job making sure that Liv was in different places. She was able to figure some things out in different ways, or kind of figure things out a bit more quickly the next time based on information she left herself the previous time. So I think she did a really good job making sure that that wasn't an issue, at least in my opinion. And so, you know, I was intrigued the whole time with Liv trying to stay safe, but also piece together what happened. It becomes clear that she's the prime suspect for some things happening in the present day, but, you know, she's trying to piece together how that could possibly be. And it becomes clearer and clearer that it relates to what happened a couple of years ago, which is when she last remembers things. And so it was so good. It was so good. I was intrigued. I had a great time, and would recommend if you're just looking for a fun, pretty fast-paced thriller and the premise sounds interesting. Would recommend. So, success for day one, and today is Friday. We're going to be heading out to the Airbnb later today. Matt's going to be doing some work. I also took today off of work, so I'm not going to be working, but I have started In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune this morning. And I also just got my Little Free Library reading vlog up, so just got that done. Just got some other couple little things done. So now I feel like I can focus on this a bit more, but I've read the first couple of chapters in the intro, and I'm immediately just charmed by this story. I think that's the best word. I'm just immediately charmed. You're introduced to a couple characters, Giovanni, and then, you know, he lives in, kind of had found his way to the forest and found a place that he would be able to kind of spruce up and make his own and live there. And at some point, you know, a couple with a little baby come and basically kind of thrust the baby into his arms and say, you know, we need to protect him. We need to go. They're chasing us. They're following us. They're going to find us, but please protect him. And then they basically quickly leave Giovanni with this little baby. And Giovanni has actually been kind of lonely, and so it actually has happened at a really good time for him, and he kind of finds new purpose in raising this little boy. Victor is what he names him, and so that's kind of the very intro, and then you follow them a little bit of time later where Victor is, I think he's in his early 20s, and, you know, they are near like a salvage yard or something, and so they find things to fix up, and so Giovanni and Victor both have like little labs. So it's a series of buildings that are in the trees. I feel like the illustration on the back here really does a good job. It's like these buildings that are built into the trees and connected, and here are the main characters right here. So they kind of build these structures in the trees, and Victor and Giovanni each have their own kind of workshop area where they tinker with and build things or bring things back to life. And, you know, two of the things they've kind of brought back to life are a sentient vacuum, which is down here, and then this robot right here that was a nurse robot. And so those are also a couple of the characters that are around and are just hilarious to follow. So I'm just immediately charmed by this little family, the dynamic that they have, and that's really all that's happened so far. But I'm into it. I'm vibing. So I'm excited to continue with that one and to head out to the Airbnb later today. What I'm actually going to focus on right now probably is a bit more of, it is gonna just completely wash out the cover with it being a white cover. But this is the new Climate War by Michael Mann, and this is the book that I'm reading for the Environmental Book Club meetup. This is our next book, and the meeting is next week, next Thursday, so I need to get a move on this. I have read a few chapters, but I need to keep going with this. So this is actually going to be my priority this morning, to kind of get a bit further into that, and I'll bring it with me this weekend too, just to make sure that I'm not falling behind on that one. And in this one, Michael Mann is a climate researcher who has also been very vocal and very involved in kind of making sure that political leaders are translating the science into political action, and has, been through a lot in that process. And so has released a book some years back called The Climate War, or The Climate Wars. And that one kind of talked about kind of a first iteration of climate denial, and in this one he talks about kind of a new generation of climate denial, and it's been interesting so far. And he talks about the merchants of doubt, and talks about those actors that is expanded upon in a book called Merchants of Doubt by Naomi Oreskes and Eric M. Conway, and starts kind of framing it, a little bit of the history of what kind of happened there, the players who have been involved in climate denial, the tactics they've used, and is starting to talk about how some things have shifted from outright denial to delay, disinformation campaigns to just cause confusion, that kind of thing. So yeah, not too much surprising at this point, just because I'm pretty well read in and very interested in kind of that specific subset of climate, the climate world. I actually need to finish the last bit of Merchants of Doubt, so that'll be something I do at some point soon as well. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting. So I'm intrigued to continue on with this one and learn more about what he's been through, what he's learned from his experiences, and what that could mean for climate advocates moving forward. So that's what's on the agenda. I also am going to be bringing another book. I'll show the cover later, but I'm also going to be reading or bringing the China Study, and Matt and I will be listening to it in the car. I have the audiobook as well, and so this is something that he and I are going to be reading together and kind of listening to in the car as we're going around different places this weekend. And this is also a nonfiction about health and trying to kind of cut through various and varied information about health and nutrition, and really focusing on how a plant-based diet, if you look at the information and look at the studies, how a plant-based diet can kind of help in so many different areas. And so we've just started that one, and we're just a couple of chapters in, but we'll be continuing with that one as well. So there's gonna be a lot of different stuff going on this weekend. I also need to get started on Fashionopolis for the X Book Club. Anyway, so many projects, so many great things and great reading going on. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna continue on with this one for the moment, and then I need to make sure I get packed up as well for the Airbnb. So yeah, I'm excited. Good morning. So it is once again the next day. This is going to be the more exciting part of the weekend though. So yesterday, after I checked in, I did a little bit more reading. As I mentioned, got that video posted, and then did a bit more reading, did a bit more house stuff. I got packed for this weekend, and then had some lunch. And once Matt was done with work, he packed some of his stuff while I packed some food for the weekend. And then, yeah, then we were able to head out 2:45 in the afternoon or so. Stop by I stopped by the store to get a few more things and a few more groceries that we needed, and then headed out here and had some dinner. We watched the Tetris movie, which was a lot of fun and super interesting. So yeah, we just had a nice relaxing evening, and then did some more reading in the Lives of Puppets last night as well. And yeah, now it's the morning. There's some breakfast being made in the background. So yeah, let me give you a quick tour. This place is really cute. So this is what you see once you walk in. The living area here, dining space, and a little half bath for the main floor. This is the kitchen area, and then yeah, TV. And then there's also this really great deck with some chairs out there, and just see if it'll let you see this stunning view. So really excited about that. There's also this area up here. This is a loft bed. This isn't where we slept, but there's a loft bed and this chair. I definitely want to read in this chair. I have tested it out. It's very comfy. And then yeah, just a little dresser and loft bed. And then down from the door you also have some stairs going down to main bed area. So this is the main bedroom. Look at the stone wall that continues up from upstairs, and there's a fireplace upstairs too. So I like that they continue the stone wall and fireplace. TV, bed, dresser, and then the full bath in here as well. And let me show you the most important part. There's a hammock. So I'm very excited to read on that hammock. And then yeah, another deck with a couple of different bench seats as well, and just some really pretty views. So that's the place. We're gonna have some breakfast and then yeah, just see where the day takes us. Hopefully we'll be able to do some exploring, maybe some hiking. It should be a really gorgeous day, so hopefully we'll be able to find some fun things to do. Good morning. So yesterday was a ton of fun. We finished breakfast, had some coffee, and went to run a couple of errands, and then went to Muse Winery, which was a lot of fun. Gorgeous views. The wine was tasty, and yeah, we just had a good time. I read some more in the Lives of Puppets while we were there, and then afterwards we were getting hungry. So we decided to go to a Mexican place we're relatively near Woodstock, Virginia was where we were, and so we decided to go to a Mexican restaurant that was in Woodstock. And then yeah, I was so tired after that, between eating way too much delicious Mexican food and the wine and a bit of a drink that I had there. I was getting really tired, so I took a nap. And I also, just enjoyed a nap and then went to go read in the hammock that's downstairs. So that was a lot of fun. And then I didn't realize this, but as we wanted to watch something, and as we were looking for something to watch, Matt saw something that Chip and Joanna did where they were a series where they show their progress renovating a castle that's in Waco. And I loved their show. I love Joanna's designs. And I didn't realize there was a show where they were renovating a castle. So I was like, yes, obviously we need to watch this. So we watched a couple of episodes of that before heading to bed and doing some more reading. I did read some more in the Lives of Puppets before going to bed, as well as the introduction to Fashionopolis by Dana Thomas. And I'll link the announcement video for the X Book Club below for more context, but I'm finally starting this. I need to make some more progress, hopefully today, and just make sure that I'm making some steady progress on it throughout the month. But yeah, finally did start Fashionopolis by Dana Thomas, which is about the fast fashion industry from a sustainability perspective. So definitely a very interesting introduction. So definitely looking forward to learning more. And today we are hoping to go to one other winery and check out a distillery potentially. Maybe we'll find a nice walk somewhere around here, walking path through the woods somewhere around here as well. We'll see. And yeah, so it should be another fun day. I'm more than halfway through in the Lives of Puppets, so I'll do a reading update in just a sec. I'm also hoping to read some more in the New Climate War, because this is another one that I just really have to make some progress on, like by a certain timeline. Interested in this and definitely want to read, but I'm on a timeline with this one as well, so I want to make sure I'm making some progress in this one. So I might read some of that today as well, just to make sure I'm making progress on it. But yeah, so as I said, more than halfway through In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I'm absolutely loving this one. So I gave a little bit of what it was about at the very beginning and kind of my first impression. It's definitely just charming. I'm enjoying the humor. I don't think the humor is going to be for everyone. I don't think any humor in books is going to be for everyone, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm just enjoying this family dynamic. And he spends a good amount of time building that family dynamic up, which I think was, one, just charming and fun to read, but also I think really allowed me to kind of feel what I'm supposed to be feeling now that things are kind of kicking off later in the book. It is in the synopsis. This happens a good chunk into the book, but it is in the synopsis. So Giovanni, kind of the father figure here, is taken by some of the people who could either like decommission him or have his memory wiped and like reprogram him basically, and they're taking him back to the city of electric dreams. And so part of what the family needs to do is see if they can go get him. And so I think because he had built up the characters and built up this family dynamic really well, I think I was, I'm feeling some of those things as things are moving forward, and I'm definitely interested to see what the characters get up to and what they learn about the world along the way. And they've already met some, I'll say, interesting characters, and yeah, it's been fun. So definitely having a really good time with that one. So yeah, that's the plan for today. I hope to make some more progress in the Lives of Puppets. I would love to be able to finish it, because I still also wanted to read Fourth Wing, or at least as much of Fourth Wing as I could before the end of the weekend. One of the reasons I wanted to do it this weekend in particular is because Fairy Loot is going to be coming out with an edition of their own. And of course, I absolutely love Fairy Loot and Fairy Loot editions of books. And so if I enjoy it, having a Fairy Loot edition would be really cool. And I guess, to be fair, even if I don't, I could still get it. And the way the demand is for this book, I could probably sell it for a good amount of money if I wanted to, if I didn't end up liking it. So, but I'm hoping to at least see if I like it before I get it. But we'll see. We'll see how much progress I can make. I also need to return the audiobook before too long. And I know there are a lot of people behind me in line for the audiobook, so I really hate to have the audiobook out for a long time if I know it's popular and there are a lot of people waiting. But I had to snag it when I did, or there would have been no chance of me getting a library copy. Although I think it is on Scribd, so I probably still would have been able to get it in some other way. But anyway, so I am hoping to also read it just so that I can return it to the library soon. So yeah, that's the plan, is read as much of this as I can, read some more in the new Climate War, and then hopefully be able to finish In the Lives of Puppets soon so that I can get to Fourth Wing. But first we're gonna have some breakfast and some coffee, probably watch a couple more episodes of Chip and Joanna renovating that castle, because why not? Done a pretty shit job at vlogging this weekend, but that's okay. I last checked in Sunday morning, and Sunday was another really good day. We went to a bookstore that was really cute. I think it was called Wordplay Bookstore, just across the border in West Virginia, and went to a winery that was really cute. I think I did get some clips of that. What I didn't get some clips of was going to the distillery that we went to next. That was actually really, really nice, called Filibuster Distillery. And then, came home, had some dinner, watched the F1 race, and then we both talked to our dads for Father's Day, so it was a good day. And then yesterday was the day we came back, so we just had some breakfast. We watched the final 2 episodes of that mini-series where Chip and Joanna are renovating a castle in Waco. So that was super fun to see the final product. And anyway, Yeah, had some breakfast, chilled a bit, checked out of the Airbnb. We stopped by Front Royal, a couple of bookstores in Front Royal. One of them was open. The other, according to its hours, was supposed to be open, but that can happen sometimes with small businesses, especially on a holiday. Monday was a holiday, so might have been some weird hours, because unfortunately the second one we went to wasn't open. Yeah, and then just grabbed some food to eat, went around to a few of the shops in Front Royal, and then headed back, unpacked, chilled a little bit for the evening. I did, on the way back, finish In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. So I adored it. Heartwarming, fun, and entertaining, funny, just cozy, very similar vibes for me from The House in the Cerulean Sea. So I'm definitely really excited, even more excited now, to read Under the Whispering Door as well. So definitely a success for me. And then I have read a little bit more in The New Climate War. I need to get on that, though. I have quite a bit to read over the next couple of days before the book club meetup for that, so I need to get on that one. I have also started and am more than 40% into Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yara. So this has been my audiobook that I've listened to some last night while unpacking, this morning while getting ready, things like that, during lunch. And I'm now over 40% into this, and I'm definitely understanding the hype. I'm having so much fun with this one. I'm just sucked in. The writing is really easy to get into. Is it the best writing ever? Not really, but it's super easy to get into. It's super easy to get into the main character's head, and super easy to get into the world, and it's just been fast-paced, entertaining. I'm having a grand time, and we're following our main character, who her mom is the commander leader of this dragon writing school, and so she was supposed to be a scribe or work towards being a scribe in this world, and so she had been studying her whole life to be a scribe. She had been starting to kind of go down that path, and then basically her mom was like, actually, you're gonna try to be a dragon writer, and so she's kind of voluntold to try to go into the path of being a dragon writer. She has, so some of her muscles and ligaments are pretty weak, so that's something that is kind of a theme throughout and affects how she goes about her training, how she goes about thinking about preparing to be a dragon rider, the strategy that she needs to kind of survive. It's a pretty brutal world where, only some will survive to actually get to the end of this school, get to the end of, potentially seeing if they could be bonded to a dragon, going through lessons and writing lessons with that dragon, surviving school to ultimately be able to contribute to the war effort. There's a war that's been going on for hundreds of years, and so this dragon writing school is also kind of, in some sense, a military school. It's very focused on making sure that the dragon riders are prepared to contribute to this war, but also the scribes, for example. This whole school is centered around, and part of the reason they make sure they have scribes is to record the history around this war, consult, texts, since this war has been going on for so long. So the scribes also, in that sense, are contributing to the war effort as well. And so, you're following our protagonist going through and, making sure that she survives and what she needs to do that. And so it's at first training or kind of going through classes, going through physical training, and being able to go through, there are certain tests and physical ones to not just being able to fight each other, but kind of go through certain obstacle courses that are designed to make sure that you could get onto a dragon, stay on a dragon, maneuver with a dragon, and, you know, be fit enough to be part of all those activities in this war effort. And so she's using her cunning, using everything that she has to hopefully survive, and many do not survive the entire process of being able to get to the point where they could even potentially be bonded to a dragon. There's a lot of people who died before that point. And then even if you get to a point where you meet some of the dragons to potentially bond to them, they might not want to bond with everyone, and so there are going to be some that are unbonded, and even the ones who are bonded, they still need to be able to go and learn to work with their dragon and then go into a war. So there, you know, even if you're successful in getting through school, you know, it's very dangerous, and there are certain people at the school who are after her for various reasons. Because her mom is powerful, there are also some people who they're children of leaders of the rebellion who have been punished by being forced to go to this school. And so there are some people who are after her because her mom is powerful and high up in this school, and you know, contributed to some things happening against, you know, high up leaders in the rebellion. So these kids' parents. Anyway, so there are a bunch of people after her. She's perceived as weak because of, you know, because her muscles and ligaments can get worn down and are pretty fragile. And so she can just get hurt more easily than some others. And so she's perceived as weak, and no one wants to have kind of the weak link around on their team, basically, or in this war effort. And so people are trying to weed her out, and she's just, through grit and determination, trying to prove that she can do it. And it's just been super entertaining to follow. It's just been super engaging, very easy to get into, as I said, and I've enjoyed being in our main character's head. I've enjoyed being at this school. I've enjoyed being in this brutal world. It hasn't felt so brutal. Like, there's quite a bit that's not on page, so it hasn't felt too viscerally brutal or anything. But you can tell it's a brutal world. But it's just been an entertaining world to get into, a school to get into, and set of characters to follow. And so we're following her as she's potentially going to bond with a dragon, and part of bonding with a dragon is being able to telepathically communicate with them. They can hear your thoughts. You can hear, you know, some of their thoughts that are directed to you. And so we'll through her, we're going to be able to get to know, you know, potentially get to know some dragons a little more in depth. And so that's, I think, kind of the mechanism to be able to explore, because it's first person. And so I think that's the mechanism we're going to be able to explore, you know, working with these dragons a bit more. So it's been fun. I'm having a great time. And so I'm going to continue this vlog past the weekend. I mean, it's already past the weekend. It's Tuesday. So I'm just going to keep going until I finish Fourth Wing, because I feel like I should just complete, you know, have that completed in this vlog and give you some final thoughts on that one. And then hopefully I will also be able to finish The New Climate War by Michael Mann before Thursday evening, because that is when I have the meetup. So I have a lot of reading to do. But yeah, I will check in later. So here a few days later to wrap up this vlog. So I did finish The New Climate War by Michael Mann before the book club meetup, which went really well. It was a really fun and interesting discussion. So definitely glad that I was able to finish it before that and unpack a lot. There's a lot to unpack in this book, and it was super interesting. Would highly recommend. And talks about the shifting tactics, the climate, originally kind of straight out climate denial camp. That was the original tactic, was just straight out denial. Climate change isn't happening. It's not caused by humans or substantially exacerbated by human activities. That has shifted as the evidence has just become so overwhelming that those things aren't true, to deflecting to attacking the scientists rather than the science that they're talking about, or focusing so exclusively on personal action on climate change as opposed to systemic change that is needed. And yes, individual action is important, and it's great to make choices for yourself that align with your values, but even everyone doing that is not going to be enough to get where we need to go, and systemic change is definitely needed, and the companies that are going to suffer in that don't want that to happen. So they'll deflect to individual action or pit different camps within the environmental movement, or have wedge issues that kind of divide the environmental movement in different ways in order to divert the conversation or sow discord, and or go so extremely in the doomist nihilist narrative that people just feel hopeless and don't want to do anything. So he's talking about a bunch of different tactics that are used to just continue to delay action on climate change. Very interesting. I also finished Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I had a great time. I really, really did. I can definitely understand the criticisms of this one from those who weren't necessarily enjoying it. The writing can be a bit cheesy at times, and I can definitely understand some of the criticisms, but I just had a great time with it. It was exactly what I wanted out of it and what I was expecting out of it, honestly. And I was trying to temper expectations just because it is so hyped, but I had a great time, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I'm hoping that Fairy Loot will do another run of their special edition. I tried and wasn't able to get one just because there were so many people trying to get one. Anyway, hopefully they'll be able to do another run. I know they were doing the best they could, but hopefully they'll be able to do another run and let more people get one. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for that, and we'll just see what happens. But I had a great time, and hopefully we'll be able to get that special edition at some point, and then hopefully Fairy Loot will do a special edition of the second one too. We'll see. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Well, definitely more than a weekend reading vlog, but the intention was for it to happen over a long weekend, and instead extended a few days past when I thought it would, which is totally fine. So yeah, as I said, thank you so much for watching. I will leave some social information down below, including my Instagram, as well as more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.